Almost 8 years ago, Beju Bhatt and I founded Robinhood. We believed then, as we do now, that the financial system should be built to work for everyone, not just a select few.
It's really simple. Just press 3 buttons and then you already got the amount of crypto that you want.
Just about any stock I've wanted, I've been able to grab, and it's been pretty easy to use and I've felt pretty safe.
Robinhood is a stock trading application that's really popular among the younger investing crowd, so mainly Gen Zers and millennials. And one of the reasons why it is so popular among them is because of its design.
Just from a design angle, if you open Robinhood's app and you open the other apps for Schwab or TD Ameritrade or E-Trade, you can tell that they look different.
Trying to convince investors that trading is simple and easy is not new to Robinhood. Robinhood's just been more successful at making it simple and easy.
Robinhood's design enables users to sign up and start trading within a matter of minutes. Its colorful, easy-to-use interface resembles something more at home in Silicon Valley than Wall Street.
Robinhood's mission has always been to democratize finance. And so when they set out to build their app, what they wanted to do was to remove any barriers of entry that have existed for people who've wanted to invest in the stock market but haven't been able to before.
Imagine taking $100 and turning that into $1,000.
I see a stock going up and I buy it, and I just watch it until it stops going up, and then I sell it.
Let's see this one keep on falling. 157. Let's keep it going on down, baby. We're cracking trend lines, and let's just lock it on up, baby. Let's just lock it on up and take $15,000 in a day. Let's go.
It was really a wake-up call to a new kind of investor, and a kind of investor that in many cases was using Robinhood to place trades and trade not based on fundamentals necessarily, but based on something that seemed like fun.
While Robinhood isn't the only app that's design and usability blurs the lines between investing, entertainment, and gambling, it's left many people asking, is this product a little too good at what it does?
There's something to learn between the old world and the new world. The new world is much more frictionless, giving a lot more access to everyone else. So I think that change is happening, and a lot of the old world applications are still not understanding what it takes, to be honest.
So we're just in a completely uncharted territory in some ways. This is a new type of behavior that's emerged in the past year. Like, meme stock was not in the vernacular in 2020, is all I'm saying.
During the pandemic, through 2020, we saw that app usage grew on average 40%. There were about 35 billion downloads. What we found is that whilst users have a lot of apps on their phone, so typically 80 or so apps on their phone, less than half of them are used on a monthly basis. And so now it's not just about creating an app, it's about making sure that you get a user to download it, making sure that the app's sticky enough that they come back, and your daily active users or your weekly active users, those numbers are also high.
The pandemic offered an opportunity for older apps that had plateaued in user growth. As people delved deeper into the App Store, the products that proved most appealing were the ones that offered something more long-lasting to their users, be it a language, a new skill, or money.
So as soon as the coronavirus pandemic hit, what happened was a lot of people started spending a lot of time at home. And that boredom really led to them trying to find out new things to do, and the interest in investing really peaked in the middle of the pandemic because people were at home and they had access to their phones. And for the first time, Robinhood became an app of massive interest. It's been around since the early 2010s, but it really didn't, go off the way it did until the pandemic hit.
There's no question that Robinhood has been wildly popular in attracting users. You've got more than 22 million active users on the platform now, and that's just in a matter of a couple of years that they've built that base. The platform opened up to investors in 2015, so the growth that they've seen has been astronomical.
So I think what you need to understand when you're trying to understand why the Robinhood user experience is that good is who built it. And we're talking about the co-founders of Robinhood here, Vlad Tenev and Baiju Bhatt. These were two, guys who met at Stanford at a time when, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those apps were really taking off and had really established what it means to be an application that drives user engagement and really draws people in. Think about pop-up notifications or the ability to engage with your friends. So if you, invite a friend to the platform, you get a free stock. All of those things hadn't really existed before, and so they really pioneered the way for investing to become way more democratized through a very social media-like experience.
So I'm opening my Robinhood app, and I see a nice little green screen with the feather logo in the back. And what comes up is this very clean interface.
You don't have to type anything into your phone, right? So you get lists of things that you can just scroll up or down to click the correct answer. And I know it's really trivial, right? Like you can just type in New York rather than having to scroll up and pick New York, but those are sort of the design features that when you talk to experts will say it's just easier, right? You don't have to type anything in. They would tell you that that is just, again, sort of bringing down barriers and making it easier for people from a design point of view to sort of sign up.
A critical element for Robinhood is making that first trade for these users as easy as possible. When signing up to most brokerages, a user will have to wait a few days before money is deposited into their account and they can start trading. But Robinhood lets users trade up to $1,000 instantly while waiting for their account to clear.
If I were a first-time investor, I would not find anything intimidating about this. It's kind of welcoming, honestly. Like right up front, there's a big button to click trade. I can see the volume. And I have the option to either, buy shares of, let's say, Apple or trade options on it if I want. That's right there for me too.
And so really what you see in the Robinhood app is just very little information presented in a very user-friendly way with a lot of colors, with a lot of animation. And that's something that hadn't really existed in brokerage platforms before.
From data font sizes that help direct users to what they should focus on, to the snowflake animation that falls on December 25th, Robinhood has been very deliberate in all its design choices. Take the cryptocurrency trading page, for example. Its interface reflects the excitement and buzz around this type of investing.
It almost looks like you're in a video game or an ad for an energy drink or something. It's a design element that's completely different from anything that I've seen on a traditional trading platform.
There's a lot of these delightful graphical moments where it's just reflective of almost an artist signing their work.
You've gone from 15 years ago, people seeing folks sitting with 6 or 7 screens and trading, to realizing actually you've got your mobile phone and a small screen and you can achieve the same outcome really as an individual. Those trading systems, the data, the exchanges, the trading exchanges, they've been the same for years and years. What's changed is there is now a user interface that makes it easily accessible to a broader set of users.
We're proud of the fact that we've enabled so many younger investors and first-time investors to have access to the markets.
I think design's at the heart of it because the ease of use, the enjoyment that a user gets using the application is so important.
Over half of Robinhood users are first-time investors, with 70% of its assets held by millennial investors between 18 and 40. Its popularity among young investors has been in part down to a frictionless user experience. Friction refers to something in the design that slows you down in accomplishing your goal. This may sound familiar if you've ever tried to unsubscribe from a mailing list and been presented with something like this.
One of the things that people talk a lot about is frictionless user experience. Designers more and more are realizing that users are unforgiving. They will drop off during the registration or sign-up process. They will drop off if they get stuck on a screen and can't work out what the next call to action is. Designers are now starting to value user feedback. look at what users are doing in terms of using an app, so tracking through heat maps, etc., what kind of utilization the app has from a user perspective.
If you look back at how Robinhood really sort of created this user interface was by going, out to coffee stands and coffee shops at Stanford and, going up to students and asking them, how they felt about investing and how they felt about the apps that were out there and really getting this sort of feedback from users about what they wanted to see and what they didn't want to see. And even up until this day, Robinhood research team is really, really prevalent in the company, and they really go out of their way to sort of try to, give users what they want, but there's cost to that.
While frictionless user experience may be what customers want, some argue the frictions in investment apps can actually work as a safety mechanism.
The problem for many investors with making trading too easy is that oftentimes frictions take the place of self-control. And when something is too easy, we may do it more than is in our own best interest. So I've done research over the last few decades that show that on average, when individual investors trade more actively, they end up worse off. There's not a great deal of information on the app compared to other brokerage sites. And one thing that does is gives one the feeling that this is not too complicated of a thing to do, to buy and sell stocks. And clearly the mechanics of buying and selling are easy, but choosing stocks, analyzing stocks can be difficult. We put a great value in this country in letting people have the freedom to do what they want. And yet we also want to have some protections.
The family of 20-year-old Alex Kearns is suing popular stock trading app Robinhood after Kearns died by suicide last year, believing he was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
The worst aspect of what they do clearly is the way they're gamifying the idea of investing. They're taking unsophisticated investors, most of whom have no experience, and basically making this into a game, causing them to suffer losses.
Robinhood has faced some pretty serious criticism that it's making investing almost too fun, which seems like a strange criticism, but the point is that they've made investing so accessible and so easy that they might be pushing traders to take risks that they don't understand or outsize risks in financial markets or see stock trading as kind of a game or kind of a gamble.
And for the critics of Robinhood, there's one design element that never fails to get mentioned.
I'm a bit surprised by how much attention the confetti animation has gotten. It's literally an animation that comes up after you make your first trade. You'd think from reading some of the commentary that confetti's flying through the app all over the place.
The story behind the confetti is that Robinhood used to display a confetti graphic to celebrate the first trade that you made on the platform. And the confetti motif also came up in its ad campaigns early on, where you would see people trading on their Robinhood app.
With an app that's changing the way we do money.
Now, what came to pass was confetti became like the thing people would point to when they said Robinhood is gamifying investing. Eventually, Robinhood scrapped the confetti graphic altogether, but it's not like you're going to see people migrate away from Robinhood just because they don't show confetti anymore when you place your first trade.
In my mind, gamification is so broad. It's anything that allows you to almost experiment and enjoy the process. The fear that a lot of regulators have is that retail investors don't have the knowledge base that professional investors have, and as a result of things like gamification or stickiness in an app, they'll almost be brainwashed into or influenced into making investments or taking risks that they otherwise would not be comfortable doing. But I actually don't think that's the case. I think users are going onto apps, etc., because they want to invest, they want to try investing in different securities that otherwise they didn't have access to.
And there was a particular stock that really captured the imagination of these new investors. In January this year, users of Robinhood and other trading apps pushed up the price of GameStop options, leaving hedge funds facing hundreds of millions of dollars in losses.
Let's start off with what is almost bordering on the ridiculousness here with regards to the GameStop trade.
Do you see a fundamental reordering here in the hierarchy of who has the power on Wall Street?
A platform like Robinhood was the perfect sort of vehicle to create this frenzy in trading because it made it so easy that now so many people had access to, this stock, and it took off.
Of course, what we've all been talking about, a stock which has now been on a rocket ship as part of this short squeeze, and whether those that are investing in this fully understand what they're investing in.
Robinhood customers with all of their traits, like younger, maybe more plugged into online message boards, maybe with a little bit less in their account and more of an appetite for YOLO type investing. This all came to a head in the GameStop saga. And it was the first time that we'd really seen such a mass coordination of retail investors online.
In the wake of GameStop, Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev testified before Congress. He was questioned on a variety of topics, including his decision to halt customers buying these stocks and face scrutiny over the app's design.
Confetti falls every time they place an order. They get push notifications. They're encouraged to trade. If a friend signs up, they get a free stock, on and on. Why have you added specific gaming design elements to look like gambling to your app?
There was also criticism of the way Robinhood makes its money. Instead of taking a slice from the user, Robinhood takes its cut by selling customers' orders to trading firms. Put simply, the more a user trades, the more money Robinhood makes, leaving some to question whether the app's frictionless, user-friendly design was actually in its users' best interest.
In 2020, Robinhood earned about 75% of its revenue based on transactions happening on the platform. So that gives its critics ammunition to say, Robinhood wants you to trade more, whether or not it's good for your financial health to be buying and selling stocks all day or all week. Robinhood is there making money from transactions. And at present, without that source of revenue, it would lose 3/4 of its business, basically.
Now the US Security and Exchange Commission is weighing whether to ban this way of doing business. Robinhood's legal chief, who himself is a former SEC commissioner, said banning payment for order flow would be draconian.
What you're going to see moving forward is a lot more regulatory scrutiny and a lot more regulation to set in place some protections for these investors, but I don't think it's going to happen quickly. I think it's going to take time, and in the meantime, having access to these financial tools is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to help people learn more about the stock market, or it's going to help them lose a lot of money.
I think it would be completely crazy to almost penalize someone for building a high-quality, high-functioning, well-designed app. Innovation is inherently fraught with risk. Of course, the utility they offer can be regulated, but the fact that they make it easy for users to use and make it fun for users to use has to fall outside that regulatory set of restrictions. I think that's something that if you start regulating that, you're stifling innovation.